T, how's a diamond made?
Diamonds made through heat and pressure.
Mold 'em.
Harder. Thank you. Faster.
Yeah, go. Good shit, man. Let it out. Hey.
Yes.
When you have nothing left and you want to keep going, you should keep going. It only makes sense.
When you linger in your limits, that's how you. When you linger upon your limits, that's how you get stronger. You got. Let's go. Come on.
Let's go. Woo!
Let's go, big dog.
Two T pat. You two T pat.
Come on.
Give me.
This is crazy. Cole, you gotta come out. Hey, the beat's gonna come out, bro.
Yeah. Make him pay for that.
Get your shit together. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Medi. The channel's name is Meditate, kind of like meditate, and I post about all things wellness, self-improvement, and personal growth. And today's video is going to be cut into 3 parts: before, during, and after the storm. So I grew up in Marrakesh, Morocco. I went to an American school, and if you guys don't know where Marrakesh is located, it's actually at the northern regions of Africa. I grew up fairly well off. My neighbor was the king of Saudi Arabia. I lived down the street from the CEO of Hermes. I grew up in a kasbah, which is basically like a 30-bedroom castle, which we sold to Richard Branson. After I graduated from high school, I decided to move to the States to go to college and to go see what the States had in stores for me, and I was willing to conquer any obstacle and take advantage of any opportunity I was given. That's until my first year in college. I actually went to Boston, and in Boston there's a marathon that's held every year, and I decided to go watch this marathon. And while I was watching, I decided to go eat at this restaurant. So when I went in, I made my order, was fish and chips, and I heard this loud firework explosion. So, and everyone was running and everyone was screaming, and I was like, wow, this must be a really big one. I would love to go see. And there was this tree outside that I saw that I wanted to go hop on and just take a peek. And as I was going to that tree, this waiter called me back, and he told me that I forgot my change. So 10 seconds, I went back, picked up my change, was walking out, and I'm looking at that tree, and then all of a sudden, boom, the tree was swallowed by smoke, and something went off. It was the second bomb in the Boston Marathon, and I was just in utter shock. I just stood there frozen. I was looking at the blood. I was looking at the people on the ground. Everyone was running. No one was at a state of, like, there was no control. It was just so apocalyptic, and I was really young. It was I think I was 18 or 17 at that time. So I just stood there. I smelled the sulfur. It was as if someone turned on a match and then blew it off, and then that smoke that you'd smell, that sulfuric smell was horrible, and I had this like ringing in my ears as well. and everyone was just running like crazy and very everyone was in panic. It was very apocalyptic, and here I was trying to turn on my BlackBerry phone, which was off at the time as well, and I just didn't know what to do until this man was actually, I was on the way of the entrance, so this man came in with his wife. He was carrying his wife. I think she got her leg hit or something, and he was like, move out the way, move out the way. I was like, what's going on, sir? I wanted someone to comfort me. So what's going on, sir? He's like, I think we're under attack. And I'm like, that's when I was like, what? It just clicked that this is very serious. And when I looked up at the TV on top of the bar, it's like there was a helicopter showing the exact same spot I was in. And I was like, this can't be real. I was at a state of shock and disbelief. And I just followed everyone inside and ducked under the table. And whatever I heard, I was basically a sheep. I didn't have any survival skills. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to do anything. So I just kept listening out for someone to help out. And then there was this waiter who said, there's a back door exit. We can all exit from the kitchen. So I was just like, let's leave. My mind was like, I'm out. And everyone was doing the same thing. So I left that day, and I was literally like lost. I was just lost. I didn't know how to get home. I didn't know what was going on. And yeah, that stuck with me. That day stuck with me for years, until this day. Because now every time I hear some form of like loud, sudden noise, I'd actually have to jump or be like protective. So when I flew back home, it wasn't really acknowledged to the extent that it should have been, and it was just brushed off to the side. And after that, I actually just decided to move as far away from Boston as possible to Los Angeles. And 5 months after the incident has happened, I did end up getting my first panic attack. I didn't expect it. I didn't understand what it was. I didn't know why I had it at the time. But the meaning I gave it at that time stuck with me for the next 6 years, because I gave it so much power to the point that I ended up getting 5 a day. And with that, I also ended up getting depersonalization. I ended up getting GAD, generalized anxiety disorder. I ended up getting pure OCD. I had intrusive thoughts that I could not control. My jaw actually used to crack every time I'd open my mouth wide, because I was holding on so much tension in my jaw that it was crazy. I mean, I even ended up self-loathing, and it led to depression at one point, and it was just not the best route for someone who didn't really believe in mental health at the time or any form of self-improvement. But let's talk about LA, the city of angels. It wouldn't surprise me that people go in there thinking that it's so amazing, so nice, but then when you live there for a couple of years, you get to see things and also feel things that are quite off, because there was something in the air that I could just sense, that it was just this energy, it was a darkish energy. I don't know how to explain it, but I mean, yeah, everything looks amazing and all that, but there is something there. And in LA, it was the first time I experienced the first form of homelessness. At that time, I actually ended up being escorted out of my apartment because of a roommate situation, and it was unstable. So I ended up actually leaving, and I had to ask friends to crash in their place until I could afford a new place or move into a new place. And when I actually did move into a new place, it was not really the best of places. It was deemed uninhabitable after I moved out, actually, because it had trash bags for windows, and it was infested with bugs. So at night when you'd sleep, you'd hear this like tick on the wooden floor, and it would be actually insects falling from the ceiling. And many nights I would actually just open the cover and I'd have like roaches crawling all over me, which was really unsettling at the time, and I thought that was my norm. I didn't even have a kitchen, and I had to actually live off of noodles, 25-cent noodles, Campbell soup, and expired toast. I'll never forget those three combos. And I found it really hard to just afford one French fries, which was $2.50 at the time, the large French fries in McDonald's. Because I'd have to walk like 20 minutes to the closest McDonald's and then walk back. I just remembered it was really it was an experience, and it was during New Year's and Christmas, and it was the worst time of my life. I'll never forget. I felt too alone. Didn't want to tell anyone about what was going on, and it was just not the best of times. I knew that was not gonna be the life I wanted. I was just not sure how to get out of it, and I knew that I had to get my shit together. So after I graduated, I decided to move to Miami, and that was where the storm actually began. Miami is home. Miami is the place I'll always consider my second home. So I ended up finding a job in Miami in one of the most dangerous neighborhoods, and I had no idea until my first overnight shift. So I was this new skinny dude that came into this job, and it was basically a corner store, and I had no idea just how dangerous it was until I was told that, okay, at night you're gonna have to lock the door and check the camera when you buzz people in. And I'm like, okay, that's a bit weird. It should be fine and safe to let anyone in. But little did I know, I was so naive at the time. Like, at first I didn't even really think of closing it because I didn't think it was that serious, until I started to talk to people, and they're like, yeah, this is a really dangerous neighborhood. People get shot here. We had someone actually die in the store where I was working, apparently. I don't know if that's still true. I think that was someone trying to scare me or something, but I was just told, yeah, someone was dead in this freezer. Aren't you like scared that night by yourself and stuff like that? I had people come in and insult me non-stop, all these racial slurs. They were spitting, they were threatening with guns. It was crazy, and I was freaked out. I remember like every night at like 2 a.m. it would be a slow around 2, and I'd just sit there and cry, and I would just not understand how it got to this situation and how I ended up leading this life. And it was just not really what I wanted, but I knew I had to do it. And it actually took about 2 weeks for me to start locking the door and following people as they left, and then locking it myself because sometimes they wouldn't close it properly. So that I learned from that as well. I would start listening to David Goggins on replay, and I would write on these beer wrappers that I was not going to accept this life anymore, and I was going to work my way and try to change my mental state and my emotional state in order to attract opportunities or attract the right things in life. And one thing I had to come to terms with, and if anyone is going through anything tough in life, you need to come to terms with the fact that no one is going to come and save you, and that it's only you who can get yourself out of it, no one else. So after I've come to terms with that, I actually decided to start my healing journey, and I even ended up healing my panic attacks. To this day, I have not gotten a single panic attack, and I know I will never get one again because I actually ended up sitting in a room and it was dark and I had no distraction, and I just told myself, I'm either gonna walk out of here or I'm not. And I was going to push it to the limit. And once I broke that barrier, that fear barrier, everything started to feel a bit easier, and I started to get down from that fearful state and get more confident in myself and build this confidence, as well as attract the right people in my life. Which brings me to that one night. there was this night where I actually was overwhelmed with fear and anxiety, and my confidence and self-esteem wasn't at its best, and I ended up talking to God and asking for help. I needed help, and it was actually two guys who worked down the street at a hookah bar who just finished their shift and decided to stop by and grab some food. And what's crazy was that I actually forgot. I was so overwhelmed that I forgot to close the door behind someone that was walking out. So that was actually, I don't know what that was, but the timing was weird for me. It was weird in a good way. And little did I know, my whole life was about to change that night, and I was gonna create this bond that is unbreakable, that I will hold and cherish dearly until my very last days. So I'm gonna refer to these guys as M and T. They were also boxers, and they trained like absolute beasts, and their names were actually respected out in the streets just because of how very well disciplined and how dangerous they could be with this sport. And I feel like we all balanced each other out. We were actually trying to form order amongst chaos, and we did a wonderful job with that, because today obviously they're off the streets and they are pursuing what they love. And I grew so much in a time span of a year with these guys that I don't think I would have done otherwise. And it was that first night when I actually built this bond with them. It was just from the first time we actually spoke, I knew that I needed them and they needed me. So they taught me the ways of the warrior, and I taught them how to make sense of their negative thoughts, how to start journaling, meditating, what questions to ask, and we just balanced each other out perfectly. I was learning how to carry myself. I was learning how to set boundaries. I was learning how to protect myself in times of danger, how to channel my anger. I was learning how to condition my body. And I was also learning how to connect with this inner beast, and when it was the right time to unleash him and when it was the right time to actually tame him. It was just all so powerful. So we trained together, we hunted together, we made our own spears and went on this mini excursion, and we spearfished where I caught a stingray, and we hunted an iguana. We used coconuts to get hydrated because we didn't have any water, and then we kayaked back to sneak in some sparring. We cried together, we slept outside, we bled together, and we most importantly grew together. We were the trio. So today they are off the streets. One of them is actually engaged and pursuing his dream of being in the academy, as well as doing private security, which is really fitting for him. And the other one is actually into crypto and investing, and he's supporting his family financially. And me, I actually ended up moving to the northern regions of Sweden, where I'm staying in a cabin with my girlfriend, and I'm trying to make sense of all my past and use it to help others. The Nordic woods taught me a lot. They taught me that taking walks and being around nature does something to the mind and the body. I learned Shinrin-yoku, a Japanese process of relaxation, also known as forest bathing, where you just spend time surrounded by trees and nature and you absorb the forest atmosphere. Journaling about what troubled me in the past and how far I have come has actually helped me make sense of all the chaos in the silence. Meditation is also something I really cherish in life, and it's a superpower that I have yet to master fully. Lastly, what helped me get through all this is just this pure and sheer will to just get up and get things done consistently, no questions asked. So I'm going to continue what they taught me, and I'm going to continue what life has taught me and share my wisdom with people that need it the most, which is why I've come up with a resource that I'm actually sharing with you guys, and it was the step-by-step path I took in order to get to this level in my life, and I know for a fact that someone needs it out there, which is why I've come up with it. And it took me years and years to formulate this perfect way out of the darkness. And this is a step-by-step guide to help you get out of wherever you are in life. I've asked the questions for you. I've literally made and mapped out every single step you need to take consistently in order to see some form of result within the first 20 days of your life. And I wouldn't be confident in sharing it if I hadn't spent all these years coming up with one that actually would fit everyone. So my message to you is, and it's coming from a place of love here, get your shit together. I want to get serious. I want to work out seriously. My dumb ass.